ライトシップグローバルジャムパワードバイナヤンティックプレイクラフティングへようこそ。皆さんこんにちは。今回司会を担当させていただくハイガイと申します。そして私と一緒にいるのはアーバンエレクトロニクス社のジョン・ウルフさんです。どうも
こんにちは。
よろしくお願いします。そしてこのインターナショナルな AI ソフトウェアジャムはプレイクラフティングが AR 技術で有名な会社ナヤンティックと協力し提供しております。そしてこのイベントは実はいろいろな国で行われ、アメリカとヨーロッパはこの夏に行われ、日本のイベントもとうとうそろそろフィナーレを迎えます。ポケモン GO を作るのに使われたツールをナイトシップというソフトウェアとしてナイアンティック社が他のディベロッパーにも今回開放いたしました。今回8月29日から9月4日に行われたこのジャムもそろそろ終焉でございます。ナイアンティックが投資し、いろいろなチームがライトシップの最新 AR 技術を使い、なんとたったの1週間でいろいろなゲームやアプリを開発しました。そう、1週間だけ。すごいです。では早速ちょっといろいろ見てみましょう。
それぞれのチームと話す前に、イベントのハイライトを早速見てみましょう。
では参加したチームが何を作ったのか見てみましょう。まずはじめに XRX スタジオと電動さんの作品を拝見しましょう。どうぞ。
あなたは誰ですか？はい、私はクリエイターの押田大樹です。
私の名前は藤ひろむです。
あなたは誰ですか？プロデューサーの塩田優斗です。ニックネームはソルトって言います。
I'm Kanana Kako. I'm a creator and also a project manager for the team.
あなたは誰ですか？電通に所属しているクリエイティブテクノロジストの小野と申します。
僕が AR のクリエイターチームを発足してから2年ぐらい経ちます。
Three words that best describes your team.
エキサイティングとインタラクティブと、アップデーティング。
拡張と元気と感謝です。
効率化、習慣化、向上心の3つです。
AR の最も面白い部分としては、テクノロジーの力で現実っていうものを全然違う世界に変えてくれるとか、現実の体験をすごく面白いものにしてくれるのが AR の魅力だと思ってます。
現実との境界が曖昧になった表現が AR であるとすごい興奮します。お気に入りの AR アプリは
自分の想像をはるかに超えるようなものを見たり感じたりできるところかなっていうふうに思います。
架空のキャラクターだったり、ポケモンとかそういう架空のモンスターに出会える瞬間が一番テンションが上がりますね。
It's this idea that your favorite characters come to your reality like they're a real person. That's really exciting.
自分自身が一番楽しむことです。
お気に入りの AR アプリはもちろんポケモン GO です。
Harry Potter.
お気に入りの AR アプリは、スニーカーのワナキックス。チームの中で個人的な目標は、短い期間ではあるんですけれども、やっぱり自分で使いたい、遊びたいって思うものを、クリエイターの方々と作ることができればなと思っています。
Understand how ARDK works and what is possible, what is difficult, but doable.
僕個人のゴールとしましては、今回開発したアプリケーションを実際に子どもたちに遊んでもらって、面白いねっていう反響を受けた上で世の中にちゃんとローンチすることが一つの目標です。
Football and everything sports.
音楽、ドラムとかの音楽だったり、スケートボード、BMX みたいなものが、好きです。
プレッシャーに負けないコツは、
家の近くの公園で太陽の光浴びたりみたいな散歩してリフレッシュするっていうのがいいんじゃないかなと
take a deep breath.
プレッシャーに弱いことを受け入れて開き直ることだと思います。
そうですね、自分の中にある好奇心を信じて、今できること、今目の前にあることを全力で取り組むのが一番いいんじゃないかなと。
アドバイスとしては、好奇心の赴くままにやってみるのがいいんじゃないかなと思っております。
次はスケルトンクルースタジオと話しましょう。
I'm Russell Wardinsky. I'm the lead programmer here at Skeleton Crew Studio, and I'm originally from Montana, from America.
I'm Keith Bakad. I am from Skeleton Crew Studio, and I am a 3D artist. I am from the Philippines.
I'm Bastian. I'm a game designer and programmer from Sweden.
私は江川優太と言います。スケルトンクルーでアカウントマネージャーをやっています。
It's Niantic Game Jam Day 2, and about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And hey, I'd say things are going pretty good. I think we ended up going a lot more organic than our original idea. One of the things that we did know that we already have planned was we have some sort of a box digging game simulation that we wanted to turn into some sort of archaeology idea as we kind of see what things were able to be done. It was actually, I was surprised to see that maybe this isn't such a bad idea after all, that we can use this pre-packaged, a little bit of fun, and then use that as a game loop to integrate it somehow with the Niantic technology. Day 3. So now that we've been working on this for a few days, I think a lot of things to talk about, like when you do a game jam like this, it's like what goes right, what goes wrong, almost like a post-mortem for like a big game. And I think halfway through the project, what kind of things do we feel are necessary to produce in this environment? One of the things that came up was it just needs to be, take a technical object, see if you can get it to run, and then off of that sprout some idea. We're getting a phone coming later today. Hopefully we'll have some footage of us getting at least the infamous Pong demo. Day 4, I was able to get the multiplayer working. I got this lovely, wonderful Google Pixel 4 XL, and it works really, really good. I'm actually really, really stoked about the ability to have it work. And also I got my hands really dirty. I'm a network guy. I think my background is networking and graphics. And what I really, really like about this is because I've already got the network state machine ready to go, the online is instantaneous and it connects without any problems, and I can essentially write my own game state machine for the connection layer. To me, I see the light. There's a shiny glowy light at the end of the tunnel, and I really hope it's not a train. Alright, hey guys, it's Game Jam Day 5. We had an incredible day. I got the multiplayer working to a state where people can join. You can see each other's cameras, you can spawn the game objects, and you can play a game. The game right now, the box spawns in front of you, and it's not that big. It's maybe like a meter, 2 meters by itself here. And you're tapping away and you're having a good time. Well, when we originally got this thing working, we never got the scale set up properly. So when the ball or the box gets randomly spawned in the room, it was as big as the room. I think it was like 10, 15 meters across. Where I'm like walking through this 3D mesh object, like clicking my way through it to try to find the dinosaur egg stuck in the middle of the room. That was just fun itself. And I feel like if we had more time, or we had another, who knows, I mean, we might even have another week, but if I had like a dedicated time to make a game like this, we would definitely go in that direction where it was more like a 3D digging game. Obviously there's stuff more to do. That's great. But within 5 days, I took the ARDK, I downloaded it, I integrated it, I learned it, I can use it in 5 days. That makes me so happy that within working with this SDK, I've been working at it for like 5 days, we have a prototype running.
いろいろな試練や問題を乗り越えてこそクリエイティブな技術的な改革があると思います。次のパネルではジャム中に起こった数々の問題や試練に対してどのようにチームとして対処していったのかをお話ししたいと思っております。今回はスケルトンクルーからラッセルさん、そして XRX& 電動から押田さんをゲストとしてお呼びしております。ようこそお二人。はい、ということでね、皆さん早速お話を聞いていきたいなと思っております。では、まず最初にラッセルさんにちょっとご質問なんですけども、はい、チームで、よろしくお願いします。チームで、よろしくお願いします。何を作成したか詳しくお話しいただきたいんですけれども、よろしいでしょうか。
はいはいはい。 デベロッパーのチームが、もちろんモルティプレイが、大事だと思いますので、そのゲームジャムの中で、どうやってそのゲームをモルティプレイに、その体験を作ろうと思ってました。でもそのゲームの中で、二人のプレイヤーが、世界中にいろいろな箱を、動いたりとかで、そこ特別な箱を見つけて、そこからゲームが開始して、多分ややこしくなるかもしれないけど、でもそこから、リアルの世界の中で、探検で、なんていう、戦うゲームになりました。でもどんなものを作りましたか多分、詳しく説明してないので。すみません。
なんとなく、リアルの世界でマルチプレイで戦いができるという。
そう。
なかなかすごい楽器的なスタイルなものでございます。ちょっとすごい逆に気になってしまいますけれども。はい。じゃあ、次に、押田さんにも同じ質問を、何を作成したか詳しくお話しいただけますでしょうか。
はい。ちょっと今、こちらに、こっちか。映像を出すんですけど、
そうですね。
はい、僕らはなんか日本の昔遊びのケンケンパっていう AR 技術でアップデートをしました。なんかケンケンパってアメリカで言うとホップスコッチっていうみたいですね。なんかプレイヤーは忍者になって、こう水に浮かんだ葉っぱの上をこうジャンプしてゴールを目指すというゲームで、ステージはリアルタイムマッピングで生成されて、5秒以上立ち止まると水に沈んでしまってゲームオーバーという、子供たちが外で遊んでくれるといいなと思って作りました。はい。で、最後これゴールすると、はい。セマンティックセグメンテーションで、花火が上がるという。
花火が、いいですね。はい、ちょっと命がけのケンケンパということで。
そうですね。
素晴らしいですね。
はい、そんな感じです。
ありがとうございます。では、次に、質問したいんですけれども、お二人のは、このお二人のチームで、この最先端、失礼しました。お二人は、チームでこちらの最先端な技術を駆使して、今回ジャムに参加したと思われるんですけれども、まず最初にラッセルさん、この1週間、どのような面白い個性的な問題や試練にぶち当たりましたか？
多分独特な問題が、そんなにありませんでした。なんか、できるかどうか探検して、それが大丈夫なら、順調に進めました。
ある意味、トライアル&エラーみたいな形で、
多分、
できちゃったみたいな。
多分ゲーム自体が、なんか問題というか、でかいものを超えるのは、多分デザインとしてどうやって当てはめるのか。それが、問題でした。
そうなんですね。じゃあ、基本、技術的に、これどうしようっていうよりは、プランニングというか、こういうのはどうやって再現っていう形ですか？
多分、もちろん、ライトシップならではのモルティプレイの問題というか、どんなプレイヤーがホストなのか、どんなプレイヤーがなんかジョインなのか。でもそれが、その1週間でモルティプレイゲームを作るのは結構大変なので、
すごいですよね。
それだけなんだかなと思ってます。
そうなんですね。ありがとうございます。押田さんも同じような形で、この面白い個性的な問題に当たったとか、そういうことはございましたか？
はい、なんかラッセルさんないって言ってすごいなと思ったんですけど、めちゃくちゃありまして、緊急で急遽集まったチームだったので、ちょうど今僕らリモートワークしていて、僕東京住んでるんですけど、集まったクリエイター1人静岡っていう結構離れたところに住んでて、本当はマルチプレイ作ろうと思ってたんですけど、一緒に近くに何かできなくてっていうのがありました。
そうなんですね。
で結局それを省いて別の機能に集中したんですけど。はい。
そうなんですね。いや、面白いです。なんか全く別の答えが出てきたんですごい面白いなって思ったんですけれども。じゃあ、ラッセルさんに、ちょっと質問で、スケルトンクルーの皆さんはいつもの、今回、1週間でやんなきゃいけないみたいな形だったんですけども、いつもと、やはり期間っていうか、プロジェクトのやる期間は長かったと思うんですけども、この短い時間の間に間に合わせるためにやった工夫とかございますか？
多分、元のなんかジャムが始まった時に、アイディアがいっぱいありました。そのマーダーミステリーとか作ろうと、考えましたでしょ。でもこの、1週間で、テック触らなかったでしょ。その月曜日の朝からやろうと思ったから、 自然、事前に決めたゲームを当てはめられた。この工夫で早く進もうと、ゲームを作りました。
あ、そうなんですね。まあ確かにマーダーミステリー作ろうってなると、ストーリーやら何やらもどんどん出てくる。1週間ではさすがに難しいかもしれないっていうことですよね。シンプルな、犯人は君だでおしまいみたいな形になってしまうかもしれないので。いや、そうなんですね。で、じゃあ、押田さんは今回、やっぱりいつもとは違う短い期間っていう形だったんですけども、この作業風景っていうのはどのような違いがあったかとか、お話しいただけますか？
そうですね。普段よりなんかもう、どの機能を削れるかっていう話をずっとしてましたね。で、本当にこのジャムで見せたいこの機能を選んで集中してやらないと1週間じゃ終わらないっていうので、かなりいつもよりいつもはどれ取るかみたいな感じなんですけど、どれ削るかは
そういうことなん面白いですね。もういつもならどんどん追加していくアイディアを考えなきゃいけないのに、今回はアイディアがあったらちょっとそぎ落とさなきゃいけないっていう、軽量化しなきゃいけない。いや、面白いですね。では、じゃあ、ラッセルさん。今回、まあ、問題なかったと言っておりましたけど、もし、例えば、何かしら、ちょっと、これはちょっと難しかったなという、まあ、問題とかあったかもしれないんですけども、それらを、まあ、乗り換えるために、その、ライトシップの機能が、これ役に立ったとかいう機能とかございますか？それ、もしあったら、ちょっと、教えていただければと。はい。
多分ね、普通に、スケルトルスタジオが、オンラインゲームを作りました。この中で、めちゃくちゃローレベルで作っているので、なんか実際にそのプレイヤーがどうやって動けるとか。だからライトシップの中で、ただもうモルティプレイが、簡単に多分2つの、関数で、これで接続して、だからもうできてるよ。で、なので、なんか早く、多分、1日間で、それゲームがもう完全に終わってから、1日間でモルティプレイでできました。
そうなんですね。へえ。
そう
結構、シンプルというか、すごい、楽々マルチプレイが使えるようになる。
役に立ちました。はい。
そうなんですね。じゃあ、押田さんは、ありますか？こっち、この機能すごい助かったみたいな。
いや、めちゃくちゃもう全部なんですけど、
全部ですか？
特にリアルタイムマッピングってその空間を認識するやつの精度がすごく高くて、僕らジャンプして進むっていうののアルゴリズムをどう組もうかなみたいな話をしたんですけど、せっかくその精度高いんで、ジャイロセンサーとかじゃなくて、この距離に対してどれぐらい進んだかみたいな判定でジャンプを実装したんですけど、それは多分もうライトシップじゃなかったらできなかったのかなと思います、ね。
そうなんですね。はい、ありがとうございます。じゃあラッセルさん、ちょっと先ほどの質問のもうちょっと詳しくお聞きしたい版っていう形になるんですけれども、先ほどマルチプレイを組み込むのがすごい1時間ぐらいでできるようになったって言ってましたんですけども、ライトシップでこの機能があったから、その流れがすごいいつもの作業とはちょっと違うように、なんかもっと簡単になったとか、そういうその機能っていうのは、そのマルチプレイ以外にもあったりします？
あるなのかな。特になし、すみません。
なし。マルチプレイの方がすごい簡単っていう。マルチプレイの方が。いや、今回もしかしたらって思ってね、お聞きしたんで。はい。では、じゃあ、押田さんは、こちらの最先端な技術を使う、例えば、新しいクリエイターさんたちがもしかしたらぶつかってしまう、問題とか、試練などが多分あると思うんですけど、その新しく来る、この技術を使うクリエイターたちに問題解決のアドバイスをあげるとしたら、どのようなアドバイスをあげますか？
そうですね。僕はもうとにかく毎日新しいの触り続けるのがいいんじゃないかなと思ってます、ね。
もうトライアル&エラーですね。
そうですね。昔ゲーム趣味でずっと作ってたのが今の仕事につながってて、ずっと触ってたなっていう感じです。新しいの。
もうとりあえず触りまくれと。言い方が悪かったかもしれない。でも分かります。ありがとうございます。
来月になっていくか分かんないです。
はい。 じゃあラッセルさんにも同じ質問で、もしこういう問題にぶち当たってしまったクリエイターたちがいたら、どのようなアドバイスでこうやったら試練乗り越えやすいよってありますか？そういうアドバイス。
そうですよね。ライトシップみたいな、新しい技術があれば、とりあえず遊んでください。そのテクノロジーはどうやってなんか動くなのか、こうが大丈夫、こうが大丈夫ではない。それ実験して、その時点から進んでください。それもなんかチームなりの限界もあるんじゃないですか。アーティストさんのプログラマーさんとかデザイナーさんがいるから。チーム自体の限界を作って、このゲームを作る、このモルティプレイとか体験、そのメッシングの体験を作りたい。これから作ります。それが一番、役に立つかなと思ってます。
ありがとうございます。いやー、すごいな。では、大島さん。やはり、今回、こちらのプロジェクトに携わることに関して、多くな問題にぶつかったってございますけれども、先ほど結構問題が難しかったって言ってたんで、ちょっとそこでちょっと聞きたかったんですけども、今回、例えばぶつかったり、特にライトシップという新しい最先端技術も使用したということなんですけれども、数々の問題があったときに、どのようにその試練を乗り越えたか、問題を乗り越えたかっていうプロセスのことに関して、ちょっと説明いただければなと思うんですけども。
プロセスですね。今回の場合だと、かなりアイデアを絞って難しいこと、例えばですけど、難しいことをやれば面白いゲームできるわけじゃないので、いかに簡単に良い体験ができるかっていうのを常にアイデアを絞り出し続けるっていうのはすごくプロセスとしてはやってましたね。
とりあえずじゃあもう絞り出し続けるという形で。
そうですね。その中で、技術的な話もあれば、ごめんなさい。結構元の企画のコンセプトが結構誰しもがやったことある昔の遊びを最先端のテクノロジーで、子どもたちに楽しんでもらいたいっていう思いがあって、昔の子どもたちが公園で集まってやってたようなことを今の子たちにもやってほしいっていう、そこはなんか崩さないように、技術面の話もあるけどっていうのをすごく意識してました。
ありがとうございます。ラッセルさん、もうやはりいろいろな、もしかしたら問題にぶつかったと思うんですけど、これらの問題、もし例えばこれどうやってできないっていう時にどういうふうに工夫してその問題に対して直していくのかとかいう、その試練に対してチャレンジしていくのかっていうことに関してちょっと説明いただければと。
多分でもめちゃくちゃ簡単な答えなんだけど、コミュニケーション、チーム内でいろいろな人、プログラマーさんがこう考えるので、こうしか見えない時もあるんじゃないですか。でもアーティストさんもそうなんだけど、多分個人の実験で、やっていきたい、これを作ります。これが作れる。で、コラボレーションで最後のものを、組み合わせて作ると思います。多分、チャレンジ解決する方法として、自分のものをできるだけベスト作ってて、その最後に組み合わせるっていう
はい、ありがとうございます。はい、ということで、今回、こちら数々の試練や問題をどのように乗り越えていったかということに関してお話ししていただきました。押田さん、ラッセルさん、ありがとうございました。
ありがとうございました。
さらに、ありがとうございます。ありがとうございます。さらに将来このプロジェクトが進むにつれてまたもっとお話をお聞きしたいなと思っております。どのようにプロジェクトが進んでいくか楽しみにしております。ありがとうございました。スケルトンクルースタジオの皆様でございました。では次はネコロジックが作ったものを見てみましょう。どうぞ。
Virtual reality is a non-real reality that you go into. Augmented reality is about taking reality that's in front of you and putting information over it.
Hello, I'm Rejesh. I'm Necrologic's backend programmer.
Hello, I'm Owen. I'm Necrologic's CTO.
Hello, I'm Oscar. I'm a designer at Necrologic.
Hey, I'm Jeran. I'm crashing the Necrologic Studios jam party. I'm an artist.
Hello, I'm Aaron Iverson, and I'm Necrologic's handyman and moral support.
Hi, my name's Liam. I'm the CEO of Necrologic. We're a really nice company to work for.
Yeah, right.
You have to like crack it open.
Yeah, because we're trying to focus a lot on that, sky being an important sort of canvas for the game, right?
Could look really cool, like doing like a little thing from the roof as well. Because we've got the roof and it's just to see. We're just like, wow.
That
That
would be really cool if you could actually take advantage of being up high to see.
Yeah.
Right now we're just kind of exploring ideas for what we think the game might be. And one of those ideas is about like mining, like either maybe walls that we have with the AR.
Like Bitcoins, isn't it?
Or
Bitcoin's out in the street.
Yeah, Bitcoin's definitely,
Scanning the Necrologic floor.
Beautiful Necrologic floor.
This is not working.
It's showing like completely like nowhere. You can't even see it.
Right.
Making progress. So what are we looking at?
So this is me, I'm kind of outside Necrologic, searching around, and it says nothing nearby. Oh, but then we found Necrologic. And now we're scanning the ground, and we're searching for our fallen meteorites. That's it.
Cool. Yeah, making progress.
Slowly.
Yeah.
And I also have been working on some like UI stuff for this
Cool.
device that I made. The idea is there's like antennas on it that are going to be moving, and when you get close to a kanji, the kanji you're close to will show up in this scatter screen thing.
Oh, okay.
He's made it. He's actually a god.
He is like a god.
Yeah, I created it.
Have you created a wall around it?
Yeah.
The Great Wall of Sakyoku.
Great Wall of Sakyoku.
All the kanji are stuck inside.
That is awesome.
That actually is really cool. Well done.
It gives you like a depth buffer, so it uses the camera to then work out every pixel how deep something is. It can tell what's the sky, it can tell what's foliage, it can tell what's a building, and it can tell what's the road. So you can kind of do funky things like make things appear in the sky.
今、マッドモンキーズと見てみましょう。
We're Mad Monkeys. Myself, Dennis Miniato, I'm the lead artist. Irvin Avina is our CEO and founder and lead developer. And Ignacio Quintero is our additional developer.
What is a personal goal for you during this jam?
I think a lot of the work I've done has been sort of like pre-rendered, like high fidelity graphics. So doing something that's like more mobile, optimized, stylized artistically will be a good challenge for me. I'm hoping to do well on that.
These were our initial mood boards, and this is sort of the process of modeling one of the ships. These are modeled in 3ds Max, then textured in Substance Painter, and shown here rendered in Marmoset Toolbag, the final versions.
This is day 2. We landed on what we're gonna do. Basically, it's a game of Space Invaders, but in 3D. And the cool thing is, it's like a co-op experience. So basically, that green ball on the upper left side, that represents like another player. And then the goal is to work together to destroy all the bad guys, right? And so the idea is that you can fire like this link that goes between you and your partner, and then you guys have to move together to destroy the enemy ships you have to move in a physical space and kind of coordinate what you're gonna do to win. And then another weapon that we're playing with is this shockwave that comes from the partner. And then your partner can shoot the bomb, but you yourself have to detonate it when the timing is right. Next step is to try to get this working in AR.
Looks like both are kind of anchored in the same spot, so that part works, but we still need to do updates on both sides so that both know that they're actually anchored. But we're making progress, so this is very good.
So this is where we're at. We got the game working in AR finally. So yeah, you can place the game in the ground wherever you want, and then once you're ready, you hit start, and then you should be able to start playing. So there's the enemies, there's the other player. So at the moment it's not multiplayer yet, it's just static. And then if I press fire there, you can start like shooting the laser, and I can start trying to hit the enemies like that.
そして次はハーケンさんとダダコさんが開発したものを見てみましょう。どうぞ。
My name is Hawken King. I run a small game studio called ARDK. This is day one. Our game is called Sports Day, and it's going to be a vertical slice of a fun track and field style game. We've chosen hurdles as it provides some kind of challenge, and there's a definite outcome of who might be the winner. So initially on day one, we took a look through the SDK, and we got some multiplayer things working. One of my initial concerns was finding the ground without meshing, so we wanted to make sure that there was no ambiguity between synchronizing the devices, and we have achieved spawning objects on the ground. So basically we haven't encountered any problems. It is day two. We have the gameplay running mostly. We have gameplay things like jumping and collision and running speed changes, the penalties, the game state itself, where we start the game and we declare a winner and we have a game over. We have a basic test UI implemented so that we can control the game state. We also have basic multiplayer networking in, where we can assign each player a name or a color, and that is reflected on everyone's devices. We also have started with 3D modeling. It all looks good, but for today we had some really good progress. This is day 5 of the game jam. We were able to create a complete loop of the game, so all UX is complete from start to finish. People can host games, people can join games as guests, and they can play the game, then they can play another game, they can find out who won, and they can have a running tally of who has had their winning streak. We also started on implementing the final UI and started on the animations, doing more work on the 3D models that will be used. Thank you for listening, and I'll be sure to tune in tomorrow.
exploration, movement, and getting people together were this jam's core themes. So joining us from Mad Monkeys is Irving, from Necologic is Liam, and finally from Dataco, it's Hawken. Hey everyone, how are you doing?
Good.
Great.
Great.
All right, congrats on beating the jam. So we wanted to ask you a few questions here. So just starting with Irving then, and then we'll go to Liam, and then we'll go to Hawken. Can you tell us more about what your team created? So go ahead and take us away, Irving.
Yeah, so we're all gamers in our team, so we wanted to make a game. And it's basically, the old Space Invaders type of game. However, it's like obviously in 3D and AR, but there's a twist. And that twist is it's multiplayer and co-op. And not just in the sense that you're shooting together, but actually the weapons, they require both of two players to work together. So for instance, the main gun, so to speak, is like a ray gun. So the ray gun shoots between you and your partner. So you have to move together through the space to connect with the enemies that are like spawning in the middle of the game. And then another weapon is like a bomb that you can shoot, but your partner has to detonate the bomb for you. So that's the core idea of the game.
So then next, Liam, would you mind telling us about the experience that you created?
Yeah. So we created something called Kanji Walker. So the idea of it is it kind of like uses, we built something like a server a while ago that kind of tracks where you're going through neighborhoods and gives kind of recommendations, but it's all in text. It's just like a kind of server. So we took the ARDK and we built this kind of like watch device that kind of like has a map on it, and it projects into the sky, like places to go. And then you go and you, when you reach a place, you can kind of scan the environment, and it makes a little puzzle that you like solve, and then you capture a kanji from that neighborhood. So it's kind of like going around and capturing kanji from like the neighborhoods of Japan and finding interesting places to go as well.
Okay, and then Hawken, would you mind describing your experience as well?
So the team and I, we live in Tokyo, and we just had the Olympics. So we thought we'd do something that was a bit sporty. So we created an app called Sports Day. It has various games, but we wanted to deliver one that uses multiplayer to have a gaming experience. So we created a game of hurdles. You yourself don't actually jump, but you control a avatar. So everyone gathers together in the same space, and then you find a shared point of interest. And then we launched the multiplayer experience. And we were very interested in testing out thoroughly the multiplayer aspect of ARDK. So that was our core focus. So you have these little guys that run around. You can give them different heads, and then you have to jump when the hurdle is in your way. And so you move around and run, and eventually there's a winner, and then you can replay against each other again as well.
So those are really interesting experiences, especially since it seems that Irving and Hawken, you guys focused in on the multiplayer experience. So would you mind kind of talking about how you went about designing that, and then really how that worked into fitting it in with the theme of this game jam? So go ahead, Irving, you can go ahead and take it.
Sure. So we wanted, we think other AR experiences and other AR games feel usually a little bit more gimmicky. So we wanted to make a game where, the multiplayer part is like core. Like you cannot play the game if you're not with your partner. So that's why we went with the idea. And I guess the only hurdle that we found was that the core concept of in our game is that both of the players, they're like in opposite sides of the arena, so to speak. However, the SDK requires you to start at the same location looking at the same thing, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So that was interesting, but I think the tech worked fine. It's just a matter of like understanding how like the gachas, or so to speak. But yeah, it was like a really, really fun experience in the end.
Hawken, can you comment on your multiplayer experience with the AR SDK?
So internally in the team, we have a lot of experience with multiplayer. And I've always been interested in doing something in AR using multiplayer. Unfortunately, like the current solutions are quite lacking. So I was really interested in testing out ARDK, especially giving the same view to each user. So if they've spawned some kind of object in a particular place, everyone sees it in exactly the same place.
That's cool. Right?
That was really cool to see. So we tested it out with multiple people joining, and then when people can actually see something in the same position, it is a game changer. It's really, really great.
What's the max number of players you two could see your game going? So you said with your Space Invader kind of game, Irving, you had 2, and Hawken, you didn't really mention really how many. Do you have an ideal number? Do you think 2 is a sweet spot, or would you guys like to see more?
For me, our experience is designed specifically for 2.
Okay.
Being a sports day, we wanted to have as many people as possible. We found the sweet spot is around 3 to 5.
Okay, 3 to 5. All right, very nice. This is over to you, Liam. Your team took a very unique approach and really leaned into semantic segmentation, using that with mapping. And how do you feel your team did with hitting that main theme of the event?
So we're talking about the use of semantic segmentation. Then we managed to get the sky. We managed to get a kind of buffer, kind of working with that. It was kind of tricky to work out exactly how that all kind of came together. But yeah, we managed to get things positioning in the sky and moving around in the sky, which is kind of cool. I think if we were to do it again, we'd probably lean more into having that as a kind of medium for visuals and effects rather than something as accurate as navigation. But it's quite cool. We didn't actually mean to do it, but these beams kind of come down from the sky at locations, and when you actually look directly up, it kind of looks a bit like a UFO flying in the sky. So we were kind of like, oh, maybe if we had more time, we should have leaned into that, and had some kind of talking to the mothership kind of thing going on.
What's another feature that you would have liked to add in to your current experience? So you didn't have time now, but later on when you have more time to focus on your projects now, what's another segment of the ARDK that you would like to have come into your game that might enhance the existing themes that this game jam was surrounded? So go ahead and start. Irving, take it away.
Yeah, actually, we did want to add semantic segmentation to our experience. And basically, since you're playing outdoors and you're like fighting these like spaceships, we thought it would be really cool if we can ambient the space around you to be like, the buildings are getting, not the buildings, but the sky is being replaced into like, galaxy kind of setting, and maybe there's like the mothership in the sky, and just to add more ambience. Unfortunately, we didn't have time to get into that, but we really wanted to.
Yeah, I hear that. Hawken?
So our track, it just appears on the ground, and it scales to how many players are in the current session. So our track will dynamically change size depending on how many players are playing the game. And one thing I really wanted to do was to use meshing to make the track stick to the ground more. Currently, we're just using, we're finding the ground using a kind of easier technique, but I wanted to have the track so it forms along the ground.
Yeah. Gotcha. And then Liam, one of the features that you wish you could kind of add in more? I think you kind of mentioned it a little bit before. But...
Yeah, we didn't really get to the kind of networking multiplayer stuff, but because there was a time limit. But yeah, I think we want to explore that a little bit more, and have kind of like people can kind of like come together and kind of trade the kanji and the information that they have, or maybe like play together around one of these kind of like game boards. And then just generally more time to explore all the things properly.
Yeah, understood. But again, then within the week that you guys and the time you had, I mean, what you were able to create is already, amazing. So you're already well on your way. Kind of one of the last questions as we wrap up here, and again, we'll start with you, Irving, is what were some of the lessons that you learned by your team, or that your team learned about yourselves or working together or this AR SDK during the jam?
I think working on the multiplayer aspect, it was very interesting because me and the other developer, we have a lot of experience doing certain types of work, but not on networking kind of multiplayer stuff. So like we were lucky the SDK takes care of most of the heavy lifting for us, but it was still like interesting to have to think in terms of, you know, who's the host, who's the client, who's like what happens in each device. So like kind of combining our skill sets together to figure these things out, it was like a good learning experience for sure.
I totally resonate with that from my own personal experience with AR SDK. Glad that you're able to overcome that. All right, Håkan.
Sorry, what was the question?
No, it's all good. What's a lesson that you learned from your team? That you learned about your team, or you learned about you know, this project, or yourself, or the AR SDK as you were making it?
I think that now that everyone's working remotely, it was very difficult for us to get together to actually test the app. So I had to rope in people that I knew, including my neighbor, but everyone had a lot of fun. And I think, yeah, it's definitely, you have to have more preparation about when you're going to meet and when you're going to test things, especially for multiplayer.
Agreed. Yep. Well said. Okay. And then Liam, lessons learned?
I think, yeah, there was, you know, there's this kind of requirement of doing like a kind of daily video log. And I think that was really interesting because, you know, we tend to, as like developers and on other projects, maybe like just kind of disappear into our kind of bubble for quite a while and just do things, whereas trying to like create content every day that shows what you're doing and doing that well, I think it requires a slightly different thought process that we didn't have. You know, I think it was almost like, you know, normally we think about the tech tasks that we're going to do for the day, but I think if we'd have thought of, well, we want to shoot this or show this by the end of the day, and these are the things that we need to prioritize to go around that. I think, yeah, we haven't done that before. So that was interesting and new for us, I think.
Yeah, I could see how this kind of maybe a little public facing or marketing aspect of it kind of dictated a little bit of your development cycle. But it seems like that was all good things though. And again, the footage that we've seen has been really nice. So you did that well. All right, gang, that wraps it up. that wraps it up. Thank you so much for your time. I believe, Liam, we're going to talk to you a bit in another panel. So then Irving and Håkan, thank you so much for discussing exactly the core themes and about exploration, movement, and getting people together. Congratulations on finishing the jam, and good luck to you as you keep on going forward. And we'll talk to you next time or sometime soon. So take care, guys. 最後にグリーを早速見てみましょう。
グリー VR スタジオラボ堀部です。コードネームパーティーの紹介を始めます。六本木ヒルズで開催される秘密のレイドパーティーに呼ばれたという設定です。スマホの GPS と AR を使ってチェックインします。チェックインを済ませ、グリー本社のロビーにやってきました。床をタップすると、ただの枠に見えますが、正面に自分のアバターがいますね。試しに手を振ってみましょう。こんにちは。では、この枠をくぐってライブ会場に向かいたいと思います。こちらはレイドパーティーライブ会場です。推しのベルさんが現れました。近づいてみましょう。推しと目が合っています。ライブが始まりました。切れ味抜群ですね。この会場では同じパーティーに参加している友人も一緒に参加している気分になります。 今僕が喋ってる声に反応して僕のアバターの口元が動いているのがわかると思います。それではみんなで乾杯したいと思います。乾杯。乾杯。推しのライブをこんな間近で見れるってそうそうない機会です。
Lightship Unleashed. Let's chat with a couple of our developers to find out what new capabilities have been unlocked in their workflows by leveraging the Lightship AR SDK. Joining us again is Russell from the Skeleton Crew and Liam from Necologic. Welcome back, you two.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for sticking around. Otsukare. All right, so and then we have Hi Guy, of course, back over here to discuss again more of what's going on with Lightship. So obviously this was brand new technology that folks are getting their hands on for the first time. And what I want to be able to ask is to find out what kind of capabilities were unlocked in your workflow. So Russell, what is a feature from Lightship that you either used or identified in the ARDK that you were most excited about?
Honestly, John, it's really a toss-up between the multiplayer and the meshing. We're almost at this point where a large number of people can live in the same AR world. And so like having both of these technologies like almost ready to go is just like super exciting.
Liam, what was kind of outstanding for you in terms of the AR SDK?
Yeah, I think the meshing as well, it's kind of like, for me, that's got the biggest potential to explore gameplay. That's going to be the kind of cool thing. Having a board, having things in the world, that really that for me is exciting. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It seems like mainly the meshing parts everybody's amazed about. Russell, I actually have some questions. Did working with Lightship inspire any more ideas that your team is planning to explore or anything like that?
Oh, I mean, absolutely, of course. And not just like games. We were talking to clients about like advertising opportunities. When we played with the meshing, I had done things that looked like snow was falling or like the world was covered in peanut butter. I mean, it's like endless opportunities.
Great.
Just little seeds of ideas too. Yeah.
Wow. What about you, Liam?
Yeah, so at the beginning of the jam, obviously it's only a week, we have we did some tests to see what we could do. And there was a couple of like Forsaken things that we just decided were probably too ambitious for the jam. Like going into the meshing, that I think the problem with the meshing is it's so noisy at the moment, but I almost think that could be like a kind of feature of it, like if you look at like old games and kind of like 8-bit games, what we were trying to do at the beginning for the first couple of days was down sample it, so we'd have like a voxel cloud, and then we could draw voxels around the thing, so you'd move around and almost see like a kind of 3D 8-bit version of reality. But it was like breaking our heads, like trying to like work with it, and we decided, like I think on the second day, we were like, let's leave this for the future. So that's definitely one thing. And also we had a couple of ideas based around maybe using, the obvious use of semantic segmentation is visual, but we were wondering if there was ways of like extracting resources from reality, like charging up your sun or like charging up your water gauge or something. But we just didn't explore that at all. So yeah, I think there's lots. Yeah, I think lots of things. You can only do. I think it was mentioned on another call. You can only do so much in a week.
Definitely, kind of interesting how just 1 week you only have 1 week, and then you come up with all these great ideas, but you're like, okay, we only have 1 week, so let's focus on one thing. But then all these ideas are coming to your brain, and it's like, oh my goodness, oh no, what should I do? So interesting to hear that.
And also what you were saying with making semantic segmentation more interactive, I think that's a really good idea. because I think in the examples I have seen, it has been more of this aesthetic or things in the background that you are really getting at. But how does that really actually integrate itself into gameplay? It's actually something you guys covered, Liam, but I'm sure that's something you'd like to explore more. I hope that kind of leads into our next question there, or is kind of for you both. What do you think has the most potential to push the genre forward? I mean, I know we're talking really just between the three, semantic segmentation, multiplayer, and meshing, but if there's something else, but which of those features do you really feel is going to, break the bank or kind of shatter what our perceptions are of augmented reality moving forward? And Russell, if you don't mind starting with that.
I think had we had more time to play with the entire SDK, I'd probably give you a better answer. But I think knowing where Japan is and there's like Sword Art Online, I think that's kind of like the goal that at least my team would like to see. So we have the depth occlusion, which allows things to be hidden behind objects in the real world, and we have the multiplayers that can share it all in the same space. And
gotcha.
And we'll talk about it probably coming up, but knowing where we want to go with AR, I think just those two alone can just make this explode.
Yeah, I gotcha. Liam?
I think that, I mean, the holy grail of AR is kind of there. I think, they're like, we kind of know what it is, which is like a persistent world and a consensus of that world between a bunch of hosts, and then kind of understanding of that world. So these are kind of, maybe I'm avoiding the question, but I think, the answer is it's going to be a combination of all three, and it's going to be, these are like kind of baby steps and they're a little bit kind of separate, but I think as they become more advanced and then they start like interweaving, I think on one of the office days, it was, mentioned we were thinking about this idea of, well, can we mix semantic segmentation and the meshing, to maybe get like, trees growing out of like, like places where there's vegetation, but in the, it's, I think, a mixture of all three and getting to that holy grail, which is being able to position things accurately in the world, being able to get the world perfectly captured and then have that consensus amongst all hosts, And it's there, the building blocks are there.
Feels like we are actually kind of in technology-wise just moving towards AR and VR in a way. So I want to ask, like, what was the biggest takeaway about the ARDK from your Jam Week? Like, what do you see that you can kind of keep on going on with? I feel like you kind of explained a little bit earlier, but then I wanted to kind of ask you to give a little more details about that. Liam, could you answer this first?
What were our biggest takeaways? I think it's like normally I've done a couple of game jams before, and a few of our members have as well. And normally what happens with a game jam is you kind of, technologically you stay in your safe zone, and then creatively you go mad. But this is like really new technology. And it's, it's still at a very beta phase. So it's very, it's good. I like things that are kind of bounded by the technology, but, you have to, like at the beginning, we didn't commit to an idea, like at the beginning of the jam, because it can't be too ideas led. It has to be technology led. Yeah. So I think, that was, that was interesting, it's just, and then, I think the big thing is it's hard to do jams with new technology in such a short time.
That's true.
But that's a good challenge as well.
Yeah. Thanks. Russell, how about you?
So, realistically, I think maybe even before the Jam Week, I think when everybody talks about AR, at least from the developer standpoint, Liam, you probably agree with me, you have like image recognition. Like there's this thing and I want something to pop out of it. And I think working with an ARDK that's like a really big thing, it's got all the pieces in it, right? And just, it's kind of like I said before, just like the possibilities of where this can go really open up my team's eyes to say like, wow, shared experiences in AR. I didn't even think it was possible. And wow, like here we are.
Yeah, you're going beyond just the basic understanding that we have of like, oh, here's either a QR code or here's an image, and then you can pop up something on top of it.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Where everything else can now be anywhere in the environment, anytime. And everyone I've heard from all the jams, because this is the last one, and we're closing with this. And when I was participating in the American leg, it was pretty much saying that multiplayer was just like so mind-boggling, the fact that you can now share experiences. And I like how everyone's kind of saying that. So what are actually more what more concretely or detail can you say about the steps, or what do you feel is not merely missing, but what could be a very good complement to add on to get us to this, forthcoming realm of augmented reality and all facets? Recommendations.
So realistically, I think as a developer, at least playing with the multiplayer, since I think that's kind of what we're focusing on.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, it's kind of a black box. You call a couple functions and then you pray that it connects. And I feel like one thing I really like is if it could go a lot deeper. I could really go in there and kind of really see what's happening. And then, I mean, obviously a team that's really, specialized in multiplayer could probably go in and do something really interesting. And then on the other hand, right now I know it's all like host client based. And I think one of the things that will really break it open is if we could do like some sort of peer-to-peer mesh networking system, like I'll have something dreaming, right? That somehow you log into some network and based on where you are specifically in the world, you could build your own world out of it. I mean, if we're dreaming, why not give that to us? Anyway, that's what I really like to see going forward.
Okay. So not as LAN as actually an interconnected network amongst all players.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And MMO version of this is where we're going.
Yeah. Okay. I hear you. Sweet. Liam?
I mean, the first bit is like a pretty simple one, which I think is just consolidating what they have. And that's like, make it better, make it more optimal, better documentation, better tutorials. And then, so it's easy for people to get into this. But I think, looking at the future, I think, we've tried to put this GPS kind of stuff in. But there's a lot, if we're talking about this MMORPG-esque kind of stuff and this kind of networking stuff, I think, it needs some kind of a like geospatial kind of understanding, so that breaks things down into, maybe servers are based on neighborhoods or they're based on like blocks of land on 3 words or whatever, that would, I suppose, like help give it some kind of infrastructure. And again, this idea of, I think for me, what I want to be able to do is accurately, the use case I want, which is still not quite there, is there's a thing in the world and that's how far it is and that's exactly where you need to go to get there. And I think if we crack that, like AR is going to explode.
I've been just listening in, being like, okay, wow. This is like a whole new level of all technologies for me. I'm like, that's actually really interesting. Like, speaking of like Sword Art Online, or I was like thinking Excel world of everybody's like kind of seeing each other and having a little battle. If that was awesome. Great answer. Great answer. Yes.
The capabilities are exactly. It is. So that's a perfect wrap up right there. So great discussion, everyone. Thank you so much for your thoughts. Thank you so much for participating in this game jam, and looking forward to seeing what you do in the future. いつも応援してる and お疲れ様です。Really great job, and catch you guys next time. So see you later.
ありがとうございます。日本語しゃべらなくてすいませんでした。
へえ、みんなはすごいんだね。では、日本のジャムが可能になりました。ハイガイさん、どのゲームが興味ありましたとか、全部皆さんのプロジェクトを見ると。
やっぱね、いろいろなプロジェクトがあって、似ても似つかないものが多くてすごいなって思いまして、やっぱり、やっぱ僕も日本育ちなんで、やっぱ日本の文化を取り入れた、ゲームとかがすごいいいなと思って、例えば、ケンケンパーとかを AR でやるとか、そういうのを見てて、すごいなって思いましたし、AR でのマルチプレイヤーっていう可能性も見たんで、それも、もうどうなっていくのかなってすごい楽しみですね。はい。
ですよね。でも実はさ、グリーの動画の中に、みんなはダンスした時でしょ、その音楽が結構なんかかっこいいと思いました。気づきました。どのなんか 曲はそれだかな。そう、どんな曲かなとか言ってるね。
いや、確かにめっちゃいい曲じゃんとは思いましたけど、あまり気づいてないね。いや、すごい
いや、結構気づきました、私は。まあ、でも本当にそれぞれのチームの、機能と開発したものが、かなり、良い、ことでしたね。
すごかったです。もう楽器的というか、考えられないような機能があってびっくりしました。
ですよね。まあ、では、日本のジャムだけじゃなくて、全体的に今年のライトシップグローバルジャムイベントが完了になりました。全体的に。皆さん、本当にお疲れ様です。
本当に今回、このイベントに参加してくれたチームの皆様、ありがとうございます。そして、ありがとうございます。そして、アーバンエレクトロニクス社さんと、ジョンさんも今回、ありがとうございました。
いいえ、こちらこそ。
本当に。こちらのイベント全体的にもアメリカ、ヨーロッパ、日本ってやってきましたけれども、いかがでございましたでしょうか。
まあ、個人的に、このイベントがほんまに、かなり良くて、珍しい経験でしたね。まあ、でもさらに、みんなのプロジェクト、アメリカ、ヨーロッパ、日本も、皆さんの、開発したもの、見ると、非常に感動させられました。これからも、AR 技術に関して頑張りたいとか、開発したいとか、そういう気分、本当に、ありましたね。
いやー、本当そうですよね。ありがとうございます。そして僕も今回日本でのなんですけれども、こちらのイベントの司会にお呼びいただき、本当にありがとうございました。今回このイベントに参加しなかったら、こういう AR 技術を使った最新の、画期的なゲームの進化というか、アプリの進化というか、もう AR の進化見られなかったと思うので、本当にありがとうございました。
ハイガイさんも、これから、開発者になったらいいんじゃない？
いや、難しいっすよ。ジョンさん、さすがに今から AR 技術を、ライトシップちょっと勉強してみたいな形なんですけども、その根本的なプログラミング知らないんで、ちょっと難しいかもしれないですけど、分かりませんよ。もしかしたら将来的に自分、いつの間にかに次のジャムに参加してるかもしれませんよ。
できると思いますよ。また今度ね、また今度。
また今度。ありがとうございます。はい、ということで、皆様、これにて、このイベントもとうとう終焉でございます。いやー、皆さんご視聴ありがとうございました。
ありがとうございました。
また会う日までごきげんよう。